Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, including the most anyone has talked about Ruben Fleischer since 2013. Listener discretion is advised.
No one will come any nearer than that. In the night. In the dark.
Hello! Ah! Oh, I'm sorry to frighten you, dear. I must look like a yeti in this getup.
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in France? Royale with cheese. You know why they call it that?
Because of the metric system.
Check out the big brain on bread.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome to the New Way podcast, where we break down pop culture so you don't have to. I'm your host, Matt Schenk, joined by Mr. Ben Wilson.
Hello, hello.
And Mr. Nick Santa Croce.
Well, hello there, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
I think the first sound you're going to hear on this podcast is not Matt's sultry voice, but it's actually the sound of Nick combing his beard.
No.
Well, actually, mustache. Oh, I could hear it. I could hear it loud and clear.
Really?
It was really weird.
I could hear it loud and clear. Yes.
You can hear it now?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we can hear it.
It sounds like a
It's
girl
so
brushing
coarse
her
and
pony.
thick. No, it's so coarse and thick and manly. You can
This
hear
is-
it all the way.
This is COVID mustache.
I feel like that was a personal attack, and I'm gonna
No. Don't read into it, buddy.
I've been combing my beard every time we talk, and no one's ever heard it.
You gotta shave it. You gotta shave it, let it grow in thicker. Is that
No!
that
See,
fake?
once
Is that
this is shaved, Nick, you realize I'm not kidding. This is probably 45 to 50 days to grow this back. I am not even shitting you.
I think I see the whole time I thought that Matt was just going for the Inigo Montoya look, but
As I've told John Reinsvold, where there is hair on my face is where hair grows on my face. These are not artistic choices I've taken. This is
that's the
just
way
what
it used-
happens.
I mean, that's the way I used to be. I used to could grow facial hair for dick, but now I've got a beard.
now you
what'd
grow
you
it
say?
for dick.
I used to.
So he used to
I
grow
guess-
facial hair for dick.
Yeah, I used to grow facial hair for dick.
That's the weirdest.
I'm having a hard time
It was-
unpacking this.
It was a weird. It was a very strange.
Yeah, that was a really weird
After Gadwell Lane broke up, Ben was finding himself.
Let me,
and he used to-
let me rephrase
he
this.
used to
Will
beard
grow
for dick.
mustache for
I-
dick? Like, is that the joke, essentially?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't get
There you
it.
go. It wasn't a joke. I just meant that I couldn't grow facial hair for a really long
Okay.
time.
All right, got it. Noted.
Couldn't grow it for dick. No one was given dick for that facial hair. Just
No,
tried.
nobody.
He was
I
trying.
tried so much.
Thank you guys
funny.
so much for joining us. We'll be. I think we're going to be backdating a couple of episodes and stuff. It'll catch up. We took a little bit of a break, partially because we have launched a new series from Last Pint, a video series called Wrecked Reruns.
We never took a break.
Yes,
Just the podcast.
Yeah.
Just the well, and technically, I have podcast episodes queued up. It was just we had a lot going on and wanted to kind of focus on launching some of this stuff. So we took a couple of weeks just to get them, but we'll get you some new episodes out.
We've been working twice as much, actually.
Yeah, there will be
And Matt's been working 4 times as much.
We feel as if our talents were really being underutilized with the podcast.
that is not true.
We wanted to branch out, really spread our wings.
Well, we did. We have launched a new series where we basically take an old television script, or could be newer as well. We take an existing television script, we remove all of the action beats and everything that they tell you about what's happening in the episode, and we fill in our own crazy make-em-ups for that, and the cast has never seen it before, so the first time they read it on air is it. And if you listen to it, you might hear actually watch it, because it is a visual thing. You might hear some funny clips such as this from our most recent episode for the X-Files.
The Tragos then realize that Watkins had been attacked by what the Algonquins called the Manitou, the Mantua, the Manitou. An evil spirit capable of changing a man into a beast. To be attacked by a Manitou. Was the victim to the trouble. That's what I said.
Yeah, that is
Just
someone.
listening to it is so funny. It's just you giggling.
it's
Loud. I mean, it's all of us giggling.
I think everybody is like losing it
laughing
over
my ass off.
over the scene, and it's because it's someone reading a word. For
Matt's
the first
giggle
time.
Matt's giggle really does have a way of cutting through the noise.
It does.
And
It does.
and listen, I'm also, if you watch the clips,
Got a
I am
sharp
pulling
giggle, my man.
I am pulling my giggle away from the microphone too. I'm in like this, but it cannot be contained.
Like chocolate rain. I am now moving away to contain my giggle.
I've tried to contain the giggle.
I still remember when I was transcribing the dialogue for that episode. I was like, I don't even know how to fucking say that. Like, that's going to be fun when it gets to that point. And I was hoping that somebody would trip up on it. What we did, I think, after doing 3 of these, I think what we've definitely found is that when people trip up, that's the best part.
Yeah, we're learning our way through these.
Are a bunch of white people going to be well versed in Native American tribes? No, probably not. They're probably gonna trip up.
You know what I didn't realize after the fact, which I should have mentioned in the post credits of that, is that that episode was actually directed by David Nutter, who is considered one of the best directors of the X-Files series.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We did credit him in the credits for the
thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, he went on to do. I mean, he did Breaking Bad. I mean, he's done all
everything.
sorts of stuff. Yeah.
There's like a stable of like 40 TV directors that direct everything. Like they have their hands in so much stuff, which is kind of amazing because that means they are shooting so fast and so frequently. Like it's got to be a whirlwind process for them. I can't imagine.
David
Fast and Furiously.
He was a huge South Park fan. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he named his child after Butters.
Ha! That's so dumb.
Butters Nutters.
Butters. I saw where it was coming a mile away.
You did?
It's no jean shorts.
Yeah, they're good friends with the Shorts family.
Y'all keep trying for your second Shorts
it's
joke.
not the last name. I always think of Will Shorts. It's not the last name of Gene. It's Gene's Shorts.
Yes.
Films.
Yes.
Did we agree on a last name? Didn't we agree on it last time?
No, you said a name and just made it up out of nowhere.
I'll have to go back to the tape. I'll go back to the tape.
Yeah.
We'll wait with bated breath for that. Just a couple of pieces of movie news before we get into our main topic for the podcast. One, now this also sounds a little bit like somebody fishing for a job, but I'm totally okay with it. But one of the writers of a movie I really, really enjoyed that I showed to Nick Santa Croce for the first time. I know, Ben, you showed it to the girls. A movie called Sky High showed up in movie news today because one of the writers of it said that there was a possibility that if there was enough fan interest, they might do a direct to Disney Plus sequel to Sky High. It literally,
yes.
I got really excited by the headlines and then I kept reading them and it really just sounded like the writer was like, hey, you know what would be a good idea is if Disney hired me to do a sequel to Sky High and put it on Disney Plus, which I commend. I definitely commend the effort on there. But if Disney Plus is listening to our little podcast, I would be thrilled. I think it's a perfect property for something like Disney Plus. It doesn't have to be super high budget. The effects are kind of silly anyway. Like it's great.
I think the thing is Sky High just came out at the wrong time. It was way ahead of its time. And it came out at a time in that nebulous area where like superhero movies had kind of gone, except for the Spider-Man movies, had kind of gone out of style. Like Spider-Man was the only big property that was being made and stuff. Batman was a joke. Like that was right when Nolan was making Batman Begins. And so that I would say that whole kind of reintroduction to the DC universe is what let Marvel kind of start with their whole thing with Iron Man. And then it became, the biggest thing in the world. Yeah, I think it had Sky High come out 5 years later after there had already been like 4 or 5 super popular comic book movies out, it would have been a fucking runaway hit.
Yeah, I think also
when
got
you
a little.
Explain it to me. Sorry, when you explain it to me, and you're like, we're gonna give this a try. You didn't have to twist my arm. The premise is pretty neat, but I did not expect it to be truly as good as it is.
It's a good. It plays well into great comic book
in the right ways.
Yeah, it plays great,
friendly, but smarter.
Tropes.
Works on a couple.
Great performers. Everybody top to bottom is like super.
The late
awesome.
Kelly Preston. That was as Mrs. Fantastic, or I forget what the name is.
Well, they can't make a sequel anymore.
How old was she?
She was she was Kurt Russell's. She was
How old was she when she died?
Oh,
50,
yeah, somewhere in her 50s.
Something.
Like barely 50, right?
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, like 54 or something like that.
Terrible.
I mean, it was breast cancer. And apparently she had been battling with it for like 2 years. So,
but yeah, I mean, I think that is also the thing that's really great about Sky High is it is a true family friendly, like, you know, the Marvel movies are great, and lots of kids do watch the Marvel movies, but you know, they are a little bit more adult and more kind of PG-13 feeling. And Sky High is just a really good, like, you can be an adult and completely enjoy it, but the kids are also going to love it. Good messages and stuff. So yeah, hopefully that comes to fruition. I think it would be great. A movie that did get made inexplicably, and I kind of want to talk about this mainly because my brother has been hounding me to find a time for us to get together again during this pandemic craziness to watch this. But I sent you guys a little article on a movie called Money Plane a while ago, and I'm not sure if you guys read this genius review, but my brother is obsessed with this movie. I pretty much every week he brings up Money Plane and just like, how do we watch this? When can we watch this? I love
how your brother like randomly gets fixated on certain things, goes hard on it, and then for a while there's nothing until the next Money
Plane is like, it just seems like it's like if Michael Bay like was homeless and got out of a car on the street and gave some like 8th string like associate producer a script, and he was just like, we got to make this. I mean, that's Money Plane.
So yeah, Money.
Hold
on.
You can't make too many sequels though, because Money Plane,
no problem.
That is not Money Plane. As Kelsey,
engine problems.
That is not Money Plane, as you said, Ben. According to Kelsey Grammer in the movie, you want to bet on a dude fucking an alligator? That's Money Plane. That is an actual line from the movie. But so for those of you out there not familiar with the Money Plane, you've probably guessed what it's about because it's got such a descriptive title. It is about a casino in the sky that takes place on a plane, so that
money plane, if you will.
Some might call it that. That where anything for whatever reason is legal.
What's on this plane though?
I don't know. Apparently, a guy's fucking an alligator, according to Kelsey Grammer.
And cold hard cash.
and money?
And some money. Just a little bit of money.
Oh my God.
If you like Cash Cab, you'll love Money Plane.
Well, what I love is...
I can't wait until what's his face? I don't think it's Screen Junkies, but whoever it is who does the pitch meetings, online until he gets this casinos in the sky are tight.
That guy's a genius.
What I love about the premise of this movie, and someone on Uprocks wrote a phenomenally, I'm guessing probably better than watching the actual movie, wrote like a dissertation on it. And what I love is that they're like, at no point does the concept of Money Plane actually come to fruition in any way that makes any sense or that they build towards. Like, the guy's supposed to be this expert poker player, but that never really comes into happening. And then even that line, the Kelsey Grammer line, you want to bet on a dude fucking an alligator, Money Plane. What does that mean? What are you betting on? Are you betting, does he fuck the alligator? Are you betting, does he get eaten by the alligator? Who comes first? That is the only way you win on Money Plane, is figuring out who comes. That is so gross and so amazing. Yeah, it looks like Kelsey Grammer.
Ben's really got a one-track mind tonight, doesn't he?
No, I say who finishes first. Either he comes or the alligator finishes eating the other guy.
Just alligators are coming, and
I didn't say that.
You're growing mustaches for dick. Theme here.
Money. You want to see a guy grow a mustache for dick? Money Plane.
Money Plane.
Technically, I've kept my mustache and beard. Well, not for dick,
I have a feeling after I watch this movie, very quickly I will have a drop that is just Kelsey Grammer saying Money Plane, so that we can just ask random questions about weird things you might want to see and answer it, of course, with Money Plane. So we're doing a callback episode a little bit for tonight. We did one of these.
Oh. There was one quick thing I wanted to broach real quick before we get into it. Did you guys see about the shrinking, I guess,
what is going on? Are you okay?
I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I'm trying to think of the best word. No. So
you get out of the pool and you experience the shrinking.
Seriously, all of these. I know that's a made-up word, but really,
is that when Rick Moranis' nudes get leaked?
Yes, exactly. That's the 8th sequel.
Honey, it's the shrinking.
It's the shrinking. It's when they're trying to make a sex tape and it only hits his organs.
That's the Honey I Shrunk the Kids prequel is him in middle school. Honey, it's the shrinking.
Honey, I Shrunk the Dick.
Honey, I Shrunk my dick.
No, but I know it was a fake word, but really, so they've constricted the theatrical time frame. AMC and all Cinemark and all of the big movie distribution. Basically, they've come in and said now most major studios are allowed to release things straight to VOD after a 17-day window.
Oh,
so that's going to be the new thing. Is that, and the new thing is going to be especially for these small to mid films, especially independent films, is that they can go to theaters basically for 3 weekends and then they're straight to VOD after that. And I think honestly, it's sad in one way. It's also a step in the right direction in the other. I was interested in seeing what you guys thought about it, because obviously we're in a period of time right now where we, a lot of the film exhibitors know they're kind of powerless against a lot of these bigger studios putting clout behind straight to VOD movies. On the other hand, I think that that these film distributors know they're not going to make as much bank as they could unless they have a traditional.
Well, I mean,
theatrical release.
This was, I mean, maybe the biggest concession for movie theaters outside of the jumbo popcorn, because for years they were trying to reach that deal, and that was something that they were not budging on.
Of course,
but it's sort of like your hands. It
used to be 90 days.
Yeah, if you're a music venue or a theater, I mean, like I can't imagine a worse business to be in right now.
No, there's absolutely not. Or I mean, live theater.
So it was a smart move, but it's something that they have been pushing back on for years. So they're desperate.
I think, yeah, and I think I mean, the only thing that is going to suffer for the theaters are just the people who are like, well, if it's only a month difference, right, from open to whenever, or from close to whenever, to get the movie on demand, then I'm going to just wait and do the on demand because I can, I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, there's not. I mean, how many times it happens for me from time to time? But most of the time, I'm watching a movie in the first 3 weeks it's out anyways, and stuff is coming out so quick. And so, especially over the summer, where this is the biggest concern time, for it.
Well, the other thing to consider is that as long as the studio is making movie from the theatrical run, then they're going to keep it in theaters. They're not going to move it to VOD. It doesn't like automatically say, like, it's not like Tenet's going to be on VOD after 17 days. It's going to be in theaters for 3 months before it ever comes close to VOD, the premium VOD or whatever it is. So I would say most tentpoles, like anything that's even a mid-major film, even a mid-major independent film, you're probably not going to see that 17-day release come to fruition. But what you are
what
if
it's a Lee Majors film? Really?
I was trying to make a Lee Major League joke, and it wasn't coming to my head.
Leslie, if you could have pulled the trigger on that, I wouldn't have been left out to dry. We both could have had a good laugh.
Well, no, I thought it was funnier, actually, if I left you out to dry and then explained my bad joke.
Diabolical genius.
Yes. But no, I think that you are going to see a lot of these smaller films where it's probably going to be mutually beneficial, where they can maybe
they could run Gene shorts.
There you go. They could run Gene shorts, but they can get a wider release potentially, and then also maybe while they've established buzz, do the premium VOD thing, and I think it works well. So I don't think it's a real detriment to the industry at all. I mean, if anything, obviously movie chains might lose a little bit of money on it, but right now I think that's the last thing on their minds.
Didn't we agree that Gene Shorts, the name was going to be a Kennedy, that they were going to be a Kennedy and related to Kathleen Kennedy and rose up through nepotism? Isn't that the backstory we created for Gene?
You've created this. You've created most of this.
Can we make that canon now? For our fans who are compiling the New Way wiki page, just that we're agreeing that's official. Okay, it's canon.
That's canon,
baby.
There you go. We've made it official. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's also just gonna be interesting when we still don't know when people are going to be going back into theaters anyway.
The global dates for Tenet have been set.
What are they now? They are
first rollout's August 28th in a lot of places. I think in the US it's September 6th.
I have no desire to go to a theater to see that. I mean, and I'm trying to think what movie would do that for me. I mean, maybe the next Spider-Man.
I would
if this was
one thing. If this had happened last year, by the way, like if the pandemic had happened last year, like with Endgame coming out, I probably would have risked stupid things to go see Endgame. Like I'm an asshole that way, but I probably would have just put myself in on that. But I also, the movie theater seems to me, oddly enough, to if especially if you go to those newer ones
space
where there's not a lot of like the ones with the full on reclining things now just have like there aren't a lot of seats in them. So there's a row that just has maybe 12 seats in it. And if you have to be separate,
and anytime you're indoors and in a closed space,
then wear a fucking mask.
Hours. Yeah, but everyone has to wear a mask for that to be effective.
And that's
what I would sit in the back as well.
Most theater chains are making everybody wear a mask.
Right, and you're gonna go to Florida and everyone's gonna wear a mask and no one's gonna say anything. Okay, I guarantee you that rule can't be enforced. It can't be. It'll be a shit show. We'll see more videos emerge online of people screaming at theater managers because they're yelling, "Oh, these reclinable chairs are 6 feet apart.
I'm not
freedoms."
I'm not.
It won't happen.
I'm definitely not disagreeing with you, but I still think if I go to the Cinemark Boynton at 11 a.m. on a Saturday and watch Tenet, I guarantee you I'm going to be one of 10 people in that theater, and I'm going to be so far away from everybody and I'm wearing a mask that it probably isn't going to bother me.
You might want to go to the 9 a.m. just to be safe.
I'll just go to the 10 a.m. Tuesday when everyone's like trying to get their kids to school or homeschooled.
You have the ability to do that. That would be awesome.
I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to rush out. I would. I mean, I would really like. I've seen every Nolan movie in the theaters, and I would like to be nice to go see. I like seeing his movies on a big screen.
Latest.
But yeah, I'm not. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm not going to the movies. I'm saying I would like to. But
I got you.
I likely will not.
I'll wave at Matt from across the theater.
our mutual friend Mike, it's funny talking to him, and he could care less about Tenet. But the movie that we talked about, the aforementioned one exception you'd make to go into a theater, is about to come out on VOD for him.
Oh, what is it?
It's the Bill and Ted.
Oh, wow.
For him, that is the movie.
Premium VOD.
He would go at 5, 6 p.m. on a Friday to see Bill and Ted in the theater because he wants that experience. He's so excited for Bill and Ted. But now that it's VOD, I think we're just going to have an outdoor setup.
Did you see what Kevin Smith said about that movie?
No.
Oh, Kevin Smith said it was literally one of his favorite movies of the last decade.
Now, look, the trailer looked good, but it also reeked of like, anybody can make that look good with those pieces.
I also get very worried. I love Kevin Smith, but he has come out of the gate hot on a lot of movies, including like every one of the prequels, and he's burned me a few times where I've been like,
Ant-Man 2 is the best Marvel film ever made.
No, but he really liked it. I think he was just like, it's adorable. Like, and he was like, it's really like the last half hour is just like super this like very adorable message and stuff like that. And he was like, that's a good thing for the times.
And he like, also just made a movie. He also made a movie with his daughter about father-daughter bonding.
Yes,
I think also thematically relevant.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Jay and Silent Bob reboot is the same
thematically.
Thematically. Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, named after the Roman god of making
Themacticles. Themacticles, yeah. He's the one that invented the 3-act structure. Themacticles. Yeah. I think also Themacticles. I think literally the Jay and Silent Bob reboot is the storyline with the kids in it is the exact same storyline as Bill and Ted. Two stoner guys, and they find out they have kids, and now they're back in a new adventure. And
that's the point. I think.
Yeah. So,
but they're going back to the well with the history characters, and it looks like a.
Listen,
I like the history characters. I haven't seen the new trailer though, so I haven't watched it.
The new trailer is good.
Thought you were sick of nostalgia. Right when you thought they were overdoing it, we get stuck at our houses for 4 months, and if they just straight up regurgitate the first Bill and Ted, then we're all going to be in our happy place.
But it's pretty funny. I mean, I was just sold when William Sadler shows back up as Death. And then he's
There you
playing
go.
he's playing hopscotch by himself.
I mean, I went from not really caring to actually being pretty excited for that.
Yeah,
I need to
it.
watch the new one. I didn't know that. I do like the idea of going back to the historical characters because my favorite part of the original one was like Socrates and all of that shit. Like I thought as a kid, like that was my favorite shit.
Well, they're doing the same thing, but it's kind of the daughter's role.
That's
to
fine
get
by
all
me
the-
too. Yeah,
all the people together. Yeah.
we'll see.
So
Like,
Mike
we'll all
said,
find out.
So Mike says, "Come over. We'll watch the projector in the driveway. You want to dress up?" yeah, I do, Mike. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna be me and Mike dressed up like Bill and Ted in his driveway watching.
You
this on
should
HBO.
totally cool.
You should show up dressed as like Beavis and or Butthead and be like, "Oh yeah, I got confused.
I would
no,
never
I got
think
this
you
wrong."
did. How dare you?
Or find out what he's dressing as and dresses the same character.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bills.
Also works.
Sorry
So-
for that 10-minute aside.
Bills.
Yes, we can go to the actual.
So yeah, our premise tonight is a recasting episode, and what recasting means we're a little fast and loose as always with rules and stuff, but the basic idea is to take an older movie and cast it somehow with present day actors or a certain time period that's different than the original's actors and vice versa. So you're doing an old movie with new people and a new movie with old people. That's pretty much the basic premise for it. And I think each of us have kind of gone about it a little bit different ways, whether we're kind of building a story around it or a pitch meeting. Mine involves alternate timelines where certain things never happened in the world and now this is what we're left with. I also know I'm going to let Nick go first with one of his because he did let something drop before the podcast and I didn't want to spoil it until now, but I definitely did the same movie as you if you did the one that you brought up before the podcast. So I'm going to let you lead. I'm going to let you
What did
lead
I
with
bring
that
up
one.
before the podcast. I don't.
You
think
mentioned
I
a movie and I was like, oh, I'm looking at my cast list for that movie right now.
Oh
So
wow!
I'm going to let you start.
I have no idea.
We are
what
going to
that
have
is. I think you're
competing
safe.
versions of this movie. So
No,
it
I
should be
think you're
interesting.
safe. I think you're safe. I have no memory of that.
Oh.
This is going to be Mel Brooks's Mrs. Doubtfire.
That was definitely not mine, but that's amazing.
No.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Let's do it. I got to
No, it's
hear
not a
that.
gag. No, I'm dead serious. I have no recollection of the movie in reference.
Okay, you definitely
remember.
asked.
Do-
If
do-
you're
so
like,
do you
did
have
I
a-
do that movie? And I'm like,
Do you
I
have a
don't
year
think
that
so.
this is being made?
Well, this is going to be in the 70s.
Peak Brooks?
Early
Peak Brooks.
70s, peak Brooks. Yeah, exactly.
So between Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein.
Correct.
I like it.
And I also, as you might imagine, he's definitely one of those directors that likes to use the same actors.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of, with that in mind, at first I was going to cast George Carlin as Daniel Hilliard.
Before we get there, I just want.
I just started though.
No,
So
but
it's
I'm
after I started.
No. I'm interested in how
It's
you.
after I started.
I'm interested in how
I
you
started
picked
a
Miss-
while ago.
I'm interested in how you
I'm
picked Miss Doubtfire.
Well, I don't know. Explaining where my mind goes, Ben, is surprisingly difficult sometimes. I don't really know. This is a hard topic for me. I knew you guys were going to come out of the gate swinging, and it was out of desperation. And sometimes I just watch the hello clip when I'm sad or stressed out. and
That's-
inspiration.
That's actually funny enough how Mrs. Doubtfire was made. Just out of desperation, they didn't know what to do. And
Well, no, listen. Mrs. Doubtfire is
I
more than a competent film.
love
It's a
Mrs.
great
Doubtfire.
comedy.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
have no
it's
problem
a
with that.
tour. It's a tour de force performance.
Fuck you, Chris Columbus. Miss Doubtfire is a great movie.
And it's really, I think that it says a lot when you have an actor like Robin Williams, who is so famous for so many roles, and really, I mean, it might not be with the big hitters with like Aladdin, the Genie, and Dead Poets and stuff, but like Mrs. Doubtfire is a seminal Robin Williams character.
I think you can argue
And
it is his
I
might
think
be
his
it might be.
role.
It might
I think that
be.
is his big role.
So I knew that had to be a home run when you're recasting that in the 70s, and it has to be a comedian.
Steve Gutenberg.
a younger Daniel Hilliard. I was originally thinking about doing George Carlin, which I thought would be awesome. And I think
Interesting.
would have gotten a lot. I think I like to see him work with it.
The voice would
But-
have been amazing.
But then, yeah, right. I think half
I'm
of the
Mrs.
motivation for that-
Doubtfire.
I've smoked one too many cigarettes in my life.
Let me tell you about the government. Now they're fucking me under control.
I got over cocaine right before it got cool.
Don't be so suburban. Everybody goes down on each other. It's the rule of the road.
Quote Carlin, go for Dogma. That's where we go.
I went
Or Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. I
Thank
mean,
you.
even worse.
His seminal film role.
Anyway, I of course go with Gene Wilder
Oh yeah.
as Daniel Hilliard, and it's
Makes perfect
kind of a slam dunk. Even if I wasn't going with the Mel Brooks theme, it's kind of. I mean, I don't know who else you put in there and expect to do the heavy lifting that Robin Williams did. So you got Gene. You bring back a real
Shorts.
favorite.
God damn it. I felt it. As soon as you
Gene
said the
Wilder.
name. I felt it.
Oh my God, Gene Wilder's daughter, Gene, is the director of the
no.
short film.
Never
Saying kept in the
stops.
family, the nepotism storyline
that's-
tracks. All right, update the Wikipedia. Is that canon? We're going with that now. Okay, long lost Gene Wilder daughter. Anyway, we pair him with Madeline Kahn, of course, another favorite of Brooks, as Miranda in the Sally Fields role. You don't have to do a whole lot there. I mean, Sally Fields was great in that movie, but that role is kind of a placeholder. So I'm hoping that Mel is going to shake things up and, like in Blazing Saddles, really maybe give her some meteor shit and be self-referential about.
Well, I think that's
a
a really good
woman's
choice,
role and
Nick.
Divorce and
Yeah, well, I think because Sally Field has one moment in that movie, and it's a freak out moment. And if you know anyone that can do a freak out scene, is probably better than Sally Field. It's Madeline Kahn. So that's fucking dead on.
Yeah,
There you go.
So
tracks.
for Stu, the Pierce Brosnan, the super, aggressively good looking next boyfriend, Cleavon Little.
I like it.
I
Love
think
Cleavon.
that dude was aggressively good looking dude. Never really played it up that well, and I think they could do that here. And seeing Gene Wilder play off of him again, getting a second opportunity to see that, but more as rivals, would be super fun. So for Lydia Hilliard, the oldest daughter, you ready for this? Here's the choice.
Oh boy.
Sally Field.
Oh,
at
there
that
we
time,
go.
Was a pretty prominent
She was the
child
flying
actor.
nun.
Yes, she was.
Or about to be the
So
flying.
then, well, she was. And then we have the middle child, the brother,
The Lawrence
David
brother.
Cassidy, Lawrence brother, Matthew Lawrence.
Whose brother, and I shit you not that this just happened organically. No, well, Joey Lawrence is his one brother. His other brother directed and wrote Money Plane, and all three of them are in Money Plane, and I'm not making that up. That is
my
not
God.
a joke. I just remembered that fact. The Lawrence brothers are the masterminds behind Money Plane.
All roads lead to Money Plane.
The Lawrence brother from hold on. The Lawrence brother
All
from
taxi airway
the Lawrence brother
all
from
airports lead to Money
from
Plane.
Mrs. Doubtfire apparently has a super gruesome death in Money Plane wearing a ridiculous fake mustache UHF style.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Shit.
Beautiful.
Love it when a plan comes together.
I am a little upset that Matthew Lawrence put all his effort into Money Plane and not a Boy Meets World feature film, but whatever. So we got David Cassidy in that role,
Ooh.
who I think
I
was
love
honestly
you.
pretty funny in The Partridge. I mean, I think that dude was pretty
Sure. No, David
He had
Cassidy
some
was
chops,
good.
man.
Yeah.
So, but he's the right age, so he gets cast. He gets so for Natalie Hilliard, the youngest, played by Mara Wilson, who is a great Twitter follow.
Yeah.
by the way.
Great blogger.
Yeah, Jodie Foster, a young Jodie Foster,
Oh.
who I think
I like it.
could handle the comedy, could handle the meat, and then
And guess what?
Oh, come on!
This time we're all
sake.
strangely enough though. This time you're all almost entirely age appropriate for the time period. Which last time it was like
That's what I was trying to do this time, and
No, you did a great job because last time I forgot who it was that you tried to cast as Spider-Man. And
It was
we were
Alan
like,
Alda.
no,
It wasn't.
Alan Alda as Spider-Man.
Can anyone do Alan Alda saying "I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark" and send it to the podcast for a drop?
I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
No, that's Alan Arkin. That's not. That's
Brown.
not.
Oh, sorry. That's Arkin. That's not Aldo.
I know.
Aldo.
I recognize
Oh, no, that's-
Arkin.
I don't feel.
No, he had the.
so
He had that really.
That's like the
he had that
crazy
pronounced accent. He talked.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, you go.
I don't feel so good. Mr. Stark. And
Now,
I'm sorry.
Now hold on.
I just,
That's what do you?
I just don't. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
I got-
come on, what's going on here?
I get webs out of my hands.
Woody Allen is
The Woody Allen. The Woody
Peter
Allen
Parker.
Spider-Man.
All right. Anyway, to round out
I like
the
it.
main cast,
I like it.
we of course have Frank, the hairdresser and special effects aficionado, played to perfection, of course. What's his name again?
Harvey Fires.
Harvey Fires. of course.
That pregnant
that lost my
pause. I
notes.
didn't know where you were going.
Just a unforgettable tour de force performance from what's the name to line. No, we're gonna give someone a little more work. Never got to really,
Oh,
dare I say, embrace the role he was born to play. Mr. Rip Taylor.
I like it. I
And the
like
timing
it.
works too.
I thought you were gonna go Paul Lynde for a second.
I thought you were about to go Paul Lynde. It's like,
well, Paul
Oh.
Lynde is the pedestrian
no,
choice.
Paul Lynde is the guy's lover.
yeah. He's got the Uncle Jack, Aunt Jack.
Yeah, he's like, Aunt Jack.
Sure, we'll throw him a bone too. But I think that Mel
He's
Brooks,
gotten thrown many a bone.
Mel Brooks, I think would have something to say about like divorce and
Sure.
who
And
comes
gender
out
identity.
ahead and gender identity. You know, like seeing him tackle that, and we always talk about how Blazing Saddles was so important and broke so many barriers, but that we could never have it again. Well, what if we had the chance to have something like that again? A Mrs. Doubtfire that made the jokes that we couldn't make today with the excuse that we could always say, it was a different time.
I like it.
That's the Mrs. Doubtfire that I have in mind. in this weekend.
I actually disagree with the premise that those jokes can't be made again today, because I think they still are made today, but they're made in the realm of satire. And as long as they're made in the realm of satire,
okay.
and
I think there was a time where maybe that
otherwise
was true, not
Trey
now.
Parker and Matt Stone couldn't have gotten away with anything that they still do.
Well, let's see what they get away with. It is a different climate, and I feel like there will be a day where I think we're going to get there again, and I think it actually means that because by nature of getting there again as a society, we've healed a little bit. But I don't think that.
Well, they're
It's
also,
possible
and
now.
they're also, they are somewhat grandfathered in as well because they have a
Right.
history of doing it. I think where it is hard to do it now is coming out of the gate with it with someone new, with a new voice and someone that's not tested. That's like, hey, I have this, I want to do this lampoon, this satire,
And in the
or
most
something.
general sense, that's
Yeah.
the case for new filmmakers. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be anything edgy. That's a difficult position to bring.
For
into.
sure.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but I'm totally there for all of that. I mean, that
Yeah.
But would you go to a theater for it during COVID?
No.
I would.
Uh,
if it was Mel Brooks' last movie.
if it's his last, well, it's in
It was
77.
actually made now, but
Yeah,
obviously
I
it's
would go to
70s.
it back then, but not now. I would not see the 50th anniversary or whatever it is in theaters this week. I like it.
It's revisionist history.
All right, Benny, you're up.
Okay. So I'm going to do the one that's going to piss Matt off a little bit first, because I really like my other one.
Awesome.
No. So I like this because it's therapeutic. It lets me right a couple of wrongs that I feel like happened in the world of film and especially of adaptations. And so there were a couple of adaptations or a couple of sequels. I always like to go through and like say, I wish this sequel never existed, or I wish this adaptation never existed.
You
because
fucking doing the Dark Knight?
No.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
so scared. Just get to it.
Yeah, I'm, like,
Rip the Band-Aid
terrified.
off. We're dying here.
So this is the one I'm cheating on a little bit because it's only 13 years removed.
Okay.
In 1992, on Off Broadway, Jonathan Larson's Rent debuted.
Oh God.
The 2005 adaptation of that film, which starred most of the original Broadway cast, was a fucking abomination.
Directed by Mrs.
It was-
Doubtfire's Chris Columbus.
directed by
song.
Somehow we have
Glory.
managed to weave all of our shit together in a weird way this time.
It always happens.
By the
I
way,
want to
this-
make a make a sequel to that set in the days of COVID and call it Rent Forgiveness, a socialist musical.
the Chris Columbus apology tour.
Produced by Bernie Sanders.
I will say, Ben, this doesn't upset me. I just have no interest.
No, well, there you go.
He's just gonna tune out for half an hour.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm gonna go quick though because I'll get to Matt. But my revisionist history is that the musical
Roger.
original musical was actually Jonathan Larson wrote the musical and then gave it to a filmmaker. And the filmmaker made a musical in 1992,
Nice.
as opposed to it ever becoming a Broadway musical or it became a thing or it became the 2005 abomination of the film it was. So first, I'm going to tell you who he gave that film to, which is who was supposed to do the Rent movie for 6 years, and that's Spike Lee.
Wow.
Spike
I
Lee
love it.
coming off of Do the Right Thing, and I mean, like right
Man,
like
In an alternate universe, we're watching Edgar Wright's Ant-Man and Spike Lee's Rent
no,
together.
Spike Lee was and
Indoors.
throughout the entire 90s. Spike Lee was attached
Yeah.
to
Oh,
Rent.
I know.
Like, he
I
was
remember.
supposed to direct
If
it.
I had a nickel for every time a movie came down to Chris Columbus or Spike Lee as the director, I would be a rich man.
God.
Chris Columbus is
perennially
Black
on the-
Klansman. Ooh,
If-
no,
if-
Chris,
if-
I don't think
if
that's
you
a good
go-
idea.
If you go by common Hollywood logic, though, I think that a lot of producers wouldn't think that was a stretch. Spike Lee's not available. Chris Columbus, that guy who did Miss Doubtfire.
But then Spike Lee directs Mrs. Doubtfire, and we have a whole other thing going on, which could be pretty amazing. So
I mean, that becomes Medea.
that's
you never know. But anyways, so I've got my cast list is Roger, coming off of True Romance in a small bit role as Brad Pitt,
Ooh.
who has the look. Not sure how well he can sing though.
Yeah,
Mark,
I mean-
Mark, the nerdy film guy.
Roger's got to sing though.
Well, but here's the thing: Mark, a guy who we know can sing and is very nerdy, Matthew Broderick.
Ah.
We're thinking all early 20s somethings.
He can
Whatever.
sort of sing.
He can source it. I mean, he's a good singer.
Yeah.
Play-
we never talked about if the election musical actually got made, he could still play Mr. McAllister. How amazing would
he
that
has
be?
a
Awesome.
Mr. McAllister voice when he sings. So yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I can't believe I made a whole election musical and never actually dotted that I.
So Collins, who's their friend who went to teach at MIT. I love Jesse. Jesse. What's the name of the guy?
Owen
who
Green.
Pano.
Just
You know, he was in
Law
all
and
of,
Order. He was in Law and Order, right? The guy.
yeah, all the Law and Order. I always forget his last name.
I thought it was
He the
Jesse
one-
something Green. Jesse.
And I met
Jesse
him
L.
actually
Martin.
outside-
Jesse L.
yeah,
Martin.
Yeah, Jesse L. Martin. I met him outside the theater. He's the one actor I actually met. But even though I love him and he is like amazing in that role, I was like, if I have to cast somebody different, I'm going to do Andre Braugher.
Ooh.
At that age,
nice.
was really good.
I'll
coming
watch
off of,
anything
like,
with Andre
Oh,
Braugher.
I like that pick a lot.
younger, coming off
Yeah.
of Glory and stuff like that. Angel, you know, the kind of cross-dressing gay love interest of Collins. I would put Jay Davidson coming off The Crying Game.
Oh, yeah.
Pre-Stargate.
Yeah.
Marine was the hardest one because you have to go with a big personality, somebody who can really get that big personality across on screen. And in an alternate universe, I think this is where she met her husband. I want to go with Sarah Jessica Parker,
Ah.
which I think would work.
She was,
I
she
think she's
was, she was just shy of doing Once Upon a Mattress at that time. So
Yeah,
that,
can any of
that
these people
tracks.
sing though, Ben?
Oh no,
Any-
Sarah Jessica Parker was
Sarah
a,
Jessica
she was
Parker
a
can-
Broadway kid. She was in
Yeah,
Annie. She was in the original Annie.
Annie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
For Joanne, her love interest, Whoopi Goldberg.
Ooh. Jumpin' Jack Flash.
So for
Jumpin'
Mimi,
Jack
I was
Flash is Whoopi Goldberg.
So for Mimi, originally my thought was Rosie Perez, but Rosie Perez would still be too old for the role. She's supposed to be a 15-year-old. I gotta go with J-Lo. J-Lo would have been 17 at the
She
time.
would have been period
She can-
correct.
She can light my candle.
I
And
could have gone with Selena.
and Benjamin, who owns the building, their once friend who owns the building, Denzel Washington.
Okay.
Denzel stepping in for Tay Diggs.
Yep, Stepping in for
see
Tay
it.
Days.
I can see it.
In a 1992 adaptation of Spike Lee's Rent, and I think it would be way better than what we got.
I like it. I like it.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
I mean, I think the number of crane shots would be
Significantly lower.
yeah, yeah.
Because nothing
Tenfold.
when you think Alphabet City in New York in 1994, the first thing you think is beautiful long crane shots in between different floors of these slums.
If they had drones back then, it wouldn't be a big deal. They'd set it up in 15 minutes, get the shot, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll pepper a couple in. But when you set up that crane in 92, you got to get your money's worth, baby. You got to make 37 crane shots, make the final cut.
I think I like the direction idea the best out of all of that. Like I like the idea of Spike Lee doing a grittier but still stylized. Like that's kind of, he really is such a good match. And I didn't know that he had been attached to it, but that makes so much sense because he was doing very stylized looks at the city, which is what Rent was gritty and dirty, but it was also dreamy. Like there are things in it that just weren't quite, everything was a little bit blown out, which is exactly what he was doing at that time.
So the whole story of the Spike Lee thing was Spike Lee saw it, wanted to adapt it immediately. And this is 1993, like right after it went to Broadway. But they had this huge hit musical on their hands, and nobody wanted to make a screen adaptation too fast to kind of pull back on the fact that this was the #1 musical. It won all the Tonys that year in 93.
Also, musicals weren't playing it. The musicals were DOA for movies as far as like adaptations.
Right. Exactly.
And the creator he didn't get to see opening night, did he? He didn't live to see opening night, did he?
He died the night before opening night.
I mean, also, you think that's got to play into it. Like, you're just not going to rush out a movie with those type of magnanimous set of circumstances on a hit. On really the revival of the rock opera. Without Rent, there's no Spring Awakening. I mean, truly.
Sure.
The first time boomers were like, maybe a guitar does belong in a musical.
Right, exactly. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it was the #1 musical for however many years they're running, 4 years running. But, he was attached for the longest time. But then it became a legal battle for a while about who, there was a talk about adaptation. And then for a brief period, he was like, okay, we're going to do Rent, but we're going to take the music out of it. And then there was a huge uproar about it.
Yeah,
him not doing the music in the late 90s. And then he was just like, fuck it. No, I'm done. I'm not touching it. And then, I mean, good on all sides, except for the fact that then, 5 years later, Chris Columbus gets to make a movie.
And he only gets to make that because Chicago hits. And Chicago made it so that you could do musicals again on the screen and weren't afraid to do it.
And then Cats killed that.
Damn right, correct. We're not seeing a musical on screen for a while now.
Have you ever talked about Cats on the podcast?
Unless it's Mary Poppins.
It is really funny. I'm revisiting John Adams, the miniseries from HBO, which was directed by Tom Hopper, and every time his name pops up, I'm like, did you know then 10 years, 12 years from now, things will be very different for you. You can have a really rough year. But yeah. All right. So I have one. This is going to, I don't think it's going to ruffle any feathers, but it is going to be close to your all's heart, I believe. So I'll set the scene. It's 1980. John Landis is coming off back-to-back hits with Animal House and the Blues Brothers. Wants to try something a little bit different.
And an American Werewolf in London.
Not yet. Just wait 1 second, sir. One option he can go with is a horror comedy script he's been working on about 2 American college students on a walking tour of Britain who are attacked by a werewolf. But in this timeline, he went a different direction. He decided to go with a script from the Lampoon writers headed up by Doug Kenny that they wrote in a fever dream over a drug-addled weekend. It was subversive. It was satirical. It was literally it was going to ape. Just wait. Just you wait.
That's one guess.
I'll give you a check right after this. He's going to let them. They want to do a satirical take on something that hasn't even quite existed yet. All the movies that were being made off of Animal House were shitty, these bad teen comedies. They wanted to lampoon those.
Now guess, Ben.
Now you can guess.
No, actually, I changed my mind. I'm not guessing.
It's subversive, it's anti-humor, and it's going to flop. It happens to be released in the summer of 1981 which is when the movie takes
You guys
place.
Love your intros.
Which
Jesus.
takes place in 1981 on the last day of camp at Camp Firewood, a summer camp
Wet
in
Hot
Maine.
American Summer.
The film is Wet Hot American Summer, directed by John Landis. Landis has a stable of Second City SNL comedians plus young stars to choose from, and here's where he goes.
Heresy.
I know. I was waiting to see.
Heresy!
I hate it.
It stinks.
So I'm going to work my way up to the main characters. I'm going to start a little bit lower down the list.
You.
First off,
I know-
who plays the can.
That's the first one I have on my list is Can of Vegetables. Of course I have that as the first on my list.
George Carlin.
No, this is the only one I think everyone is going to agree with.
George Carlin.
Lorenzo Music. Lorenzo Music, the voice of Garfield, is the only man with an H. John Benjamin pedigree of voice acting that can properly voice those
a
vegetables.
pedigree of cartoon voice acting.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. I like that parallel. I'll buy in.
Lindsay, originally played by Elizabeth Banks, is kind of the bimbo-y one. Is going to be played by Goldie Hawn. Abby Bernstein, the sex-crazed character played by Marissa Ryan, is going to be played by someone that's coming off of one of Nick's movies, Madeline Kahn.
Yeah.
We have our little Gideon that winds up having the relationship with the teacher, played by Molly Shannon. He's going to be played by Corey Feldman, and she's going to be played by Gilda Radner instead of the Molly Shannon casting.
Oh, that's pretty good actually.
This is pretty fun. All right,
Gary,
I'm on board.
who is the assistant to the war vet chef, played by Christopher Maloney, in this played by 80 Miles, will now be played by Michael McKean. Gene, played by Christopher Maloney, is going to be played by Kurt Russell. So I wanted to get someone in there that had a little bit of toughness, but could pull off the comedy in that role.
That's the only one that's not going to fly, and I love Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
I'll give you a pass.
I will tell you which ones I had the hardest time with. That was definitely one of them. That I went back and forth on a lot.
Gene Hackman.
Hackman is a little old even then, was the only thing.
Old,
I tried to match up ages. Like, I literally spent a long time looking at what age most of these people were.
Just get Mel, if you don't nail it.
Just get Mel Gibson really drunk, and he would.
That
totally
would also
awesome in
work
that
well.
role.
I think one thing we've learned is not to get Mel Gibson drunk. Literally one thing we've learned about
He's
Mel
like
Gibson.
a mogwai. Like, you can't get him drunk. Don't
a racist, sexist mogwai.
Don't take him to synagogue. Yeah, there are certain rules with Mel Gibson you don't want to break. Beth, who was played by Janine Garofalo.
You give him a blowjob before Hot Tub.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Beth, who was played by Janine Garofalo, is going to be played by SNL's Jane Curtin.
Oh,
and
that should have been Ruth Buzzy.
And Henry, I mean, Ruth Buzzy's going to literally just be there, standing there for that line now, and it's going to make a lot more sense.
She's the MC.
Think about that, yeah.
Oh God.
The David Hyde Pierce role of Henry Newman will be played by the late great Harold Ramis. JJ, played by Zach Orth, is now played by John Candy. Ben, played by a very young Bradley Cooper, is going to be played by a young, handsome Patrick Swayze. And he's going to be playing off of Susie, who was played by Amy Poehler originally and is now Catherine O'Hara. McKinley, I had a real hard time figuring out McKinley, especially that he's got to play off of Patrick Swayze. And I decided I went with Christopher Guest. I thought that he could get just a little bit of the femininity that Michael Ian Black brings to that.
I like it.
My favorite of casting of this whole thing is
Paul Rudd?
Jolo Truglio. Neil Jolo Truglio is Rick Moranis, and playing against his Victor Pulak, played by a young Tom Hanks. Who I was another role I had a real hard time with. I originally had Tony Danza, but it was a little too on the nose. I thought Hanks would do a better job.
Actually,
can I guess the Paul Rudd character?
Yeah, go.
Bill Murray.
No. See, so Andy was another tough one. So you look at all of those.
I don't think Andy is Bill Murray.
All the guys that played Too Cool for School back in the 80s, none of them were Rudd esque. That were like handsome, cocky, and dumb. And that was most of the characters in Wet Hot. As I was going through this, I'm like, I can't see any of these people playing him because they're too dumb of a character. I thought about Chevy Chase for a bit, but again, he was too sarcastic. I went with Mark Harmon, who I actually think is a dead-on Rudd-esque kind of, can be like handsome Goofy. Katie, played by Marguerite Moreau, is a Jamie Lee Curtis, and of course, this is a movie where she met Christopher Guest, and they eventually got married in this timeline.
So same as my movie.
Yes,
we're just matchmaking in our theoretical futures.
Now this one's real tough, and I'm curious I would like to hear from you guys because since you are our wet hot super fans, who do you cast as Gerald Cooperberg, the Michael Showalter character in it? Because I had a very difficult time with this.
Gutenberg?
I also thought about Gutenberg for Pulak, but he's just a little young. He was just a smidge too young at that time.
I think the fact that he is a little young is why I was thinking about him.
I just mean like everyone else is in their 30s and he's like 22. Like it would have been way like he would have been a decade younger than anybody else in it. I went with a SCTV alum just because I'm confident that he can do anything, even though he's not quite the character. And I went with Martin Short, who I thought could at least play goofy and awkward and strange. But yeah, Showalter is a real hard nut to crack as far as like finding someone in that time period that fits that bill. But that is my 1981 Wet Hot American Summer that is no longer a period piece. It is just a movie that takes place at that exact time in camp in 1981.
Yeah. How old was Billy Crystal?
I went through Billy Crystal too. I had Billy in a bunch of roles as well. I thought about him for Coop, but then I was like, he's not. They were all too cocky. All those guys that came off of like SCTV and all that stuff. Like,
well, they had to be.
They were fucking cock of the walk.
Masculinity.
And that was the thing. Like Showalter is not like in that show at least. Like he was not. He was so self-deprecating and awkward and weird. And I couldn't put anybody in that role. I'm like, I would buy. Like, it just didn't make any sense. But yeah, it's funny. I had both Gutenberg and the one you just said we're casting this at different roles and multiple times.
Yeah. Do you know who William Wegman is?
I know the last name.
So back in the early SNL days, William Wegman was like the short film director. He did a bunch of stuff with dogs. But Lorne Michaels saw a bunch of his stuff and started putting his shorts on SNL. So from like 70s.
Am I walking into this? Am I walking into a joke here?
To 80. What?
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not walking into a jean shorts joke because I
can't.
No,
we're not doing a jean shorts joke. I'm being completely serious here. But William Wegman was like his personality was like Buffalo Bill, but without all of the crazy like homicidal stuff. Like the way he would narrate his videos.
You mean
he had like that? He had like.
You mean Mr. Bill?
No, not Mr. Bill.
Oh, you mean Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs? Okay.
Oh no! Not Mr.
He
Bill.
puts the lotion on its skin.
But no, he did all these videos with dogs and stuff, and Lorne Michaels thought they were hysterical, so they put him on SNL all the time. But he would have been great as like the Zach Orth or like one of those random characters, or as the voice of the can, because he was like that monotonous, like weird, strange sort of voice. But would have been perfect like time period casting as far as like I could totally but also just because it was a weird like Andy Kaufman-esque humor, like nobody got it, you know.
So you mean to tell me that really wasn't a setup for a jean shorts joke?
It was not. Sorry.
Well, I thought about Ramis as Cooperberg as well, but Ramis also was old. Like when I looked up all the ages of these people, I was very surprised at I was surprised at the actual cast of how old some of them were. And I was surprised at like how old or young, like different time, especially the SNL guys. Like Ramis was like 6 years older than everybody else in the Ghostbusters.
What about Dusty Hoffman?
I looked at him too. He was like he was like 4. He would have been 40, like instead of 30.
Well, then he could be in the Netflix reboot.
He can't. Yeah. He would absolutely fit into that one.
Well, I mean, in your universe, he could be in Miss Doubtfire 2.
All right.
Tootsie.
Don't spoil it. That's the next one that Nick is doing is Tootsie, and then he's gonna keep following it up. All right, Nick, you are up for number 2.
Michael Bay's Tootsie. And now I want to do Chris
starring
Columbus's.
Megan Fox as a man who dresses as a hot woman that looks like Megan Fox. That's Michael Bay's Tootsie.
That's the pitch. Green light. And now I kind of want to do Chris Columbus 25th Hour, but I'll stick with my original note. This is
Chris Columbus, 25th hour made today, right now.
Yeah. And
Totally
that is
topical.
That kind of is what it is. If we were to remake The Room today, Tommy Wiseau's The Room today, with a star-studded cast, perhaps that would elevate it. You know, I kind of think of it as my dream wrecked rerun of The Room. If I could cast anybody.
Did you say directed by Paul Thomas Anderson?
Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson will direct this retelling of Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Of course, the main character, Johnny, is played by
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis as Johnny. I feel like, not unlike Tommy Wiseau, he would pour himself into this character unnecessarily, live, breathe. He would become Johnny.
Nick, and
He would literally tear himself apart
I think as you
for
and
Lisa.
you're like, and you are in the role of Paul Thomas Anderson in this pitch here. Can you tell us a little bit about what is Daniel
this movie
Day-Lewis
about?
doing? No, what's Daniel Day-Lewis doing on set to prepare each day right before he goes out to deliver his lines?
Hold on 1 second. I'm getting a text from my girlfriend, Fiona Apple. I gotta take this. I'll meet you after the podcast. You know, I just think that he would approach this with the gravity that no other actor would, except for maybe Tommy Wiseau. And the fact that he is one of my favorite. Am I still in character? I'm gonna break. I'm gonna break. I can't say in Paul Thomas Anderson's character. I just wanted to get the one Fiona Apple joke in, and I'm gonna. All
right.
But he would kill it, and I think that he wouldn't phone it in. I feel like you'd get I drink your milkshake, you're tearing me apart. You know, you'd get that moment. It'd become a GIF. It'd be amazing. For Mark, who am I casting?
Hi.
James Franco.
Keep in mind, I am P.T. Anderson, or I'm not. I can't.
Are you going with
what you have
Joaquin
against James
Phoenix?
Franco?
No,
PT.
he shares a name with the character.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg. Oh, yeah, you have to.
As much as I hate
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg, for the sake of the exercise,
It's dead on.
It
It's
fits, and
dead on.
But also, fuck Mark Wahlberg. Next for Lisa. Who would I cast for Lisa? I kind of like seeing if you can get a perfect score on this. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But
Julianne Moore?
No, she's too.
no.
She too red? Is that what you're trying to say, Ben? Too
Well, no,
ginger?
Emily Watson from Punch Drunk
Oh.
Ladies. Okay, who I think could really capture that woman's timid, passive, rollover personality.
As she gets banged in the stomach by Daniel Day-Lewis.
Now, just imagine Paul Thomas Anderson's The Room sex scenes. You know, like it would be as long as the intro to Magnolia, just like the normal sex scenes in The Room. It would be artfully done. Canted angles, 2:3:5 aspect ratio.
And Philip Seymour Hoffman holding the boom mic over them at all
Yeah.
times in
And
character.
actually, I like that. I'm actually going to hire Philip Seymour Hoffman to do the actual booming, and the production is going to be as a nod to the original. The production value will be so bad it'll pan off to the side, and you'll see him as an Easter egg.
I like it.
For Denny, the little kid, what is he, like there's Tommy Wiseau's protege in that, like weirdly.
And when we say little
It's
kid,
like his Marty to his
not
Doc
really.
Brown.
Oh, wait. It's Dave Franco, right? No, I'm just joking.
No.
I'm just
But
going to
you're-
keep thinking it's Dave Franco for everything.
But
No, it's Don
doesn't-
Cheadle.
That has nothing to do with my theme. You're not even trying anymore.
No, I'm
Well,
just
Don
joking.
Cheadle's from Boogie Nights.
You were close. You were close though with your setup there. The guy who plays Denny is obviously 15 years
Yeah.
older than he's playing.
Yeah.
So for Paul Thomas Anderson's Denny, age does not matter, Ben. I am casting Adam Sandler as Denny.
Oh my god.
Which just like
I'm already-
the football
I'm-
fight scene, like I'm
in the theater. I have my mask on. It's stuffed with popcorn, and I'm eagerly awaiting for this
How
film
does
to
that
start.
work, by the way? You just stick a funnel down like
I just
like
have
stick
I have a
funnel down the
giant
top.
mask with popcorn, and I eat until
You just
it
put
Yeah.
funnel
is
down the
secured to my
popcorn.
face
Yeah.
again.
I like it. And then finally for Claudette, who famously gets the breast cancer, we are going to go back to the well of your guesses, Matt, and we're finally going to get Julianne Moore in, who is
It's
too young
official.
to play.
She has
Claudette.
breast cancer.
But she
She
definitely has breast.
definitely have the breast.
It's official.
Yeah. That's Julianne Moore's role for the taking, as far as I'm concerned.
As long as Sully gets to play the dog in the flower store, then I'm happy.
And there are some like random goons.
Hi, doggy.
We'll throw Luis Guzman a bone in there.
Of
get
course.
Him in the fight scene. You know, there's ways.
I also would have totally accepted
Tom
Luis
Cruise.
Guzman as Denny, because that would have
yeah.
been a fun movie as well.
I just wanted Sandler in a
I do like that.
serious, weighty role again. Anyway.
And not like one where he's just yelling, doing like a John Turturro impersonation and yelling at people about diamonds. But anyway,
Over
I did not
everyone
hit
else
Luis Guzman.
for
I
2
did
hours.
not.
For over 2 hours.
all right, Betty, you're up.
Okay, well, the other one's kind of a nerdy one.
We
So-
haven't. As opposed to Rent.
Yeah, even nerdier than Rent. So I'm again righting a wrong, because one of the worst movies I've ever seen, one of the worst theater experiences I've ever seen,
Monkey Bone.
was in 1999 when I worked at the movie theater, and the reimagining or remake of the perfect horror film of 1963, The Haunting, came
Close.
out.
Oh yeah.
And
I like
The
that-
Haunting.
I like that your pitches, Ben, by the way, are like a new quantum leap, where Ben is traveling through time, writing what
traveling
once
through time.
went
I'm
wrong
just
on
like,
film.
Exactly. This is like me racing Hitler.
You can only leap as soon as the film is made the correct way.
Yeah, it's like, kill Hitler, prevent World War II, or
No. I'm
The Haunting.
remake The Haunting.
No,
the way it
I'm
was
more-
meant to be seen.
Yes, I'm more like Owen Wilson in like Paris at Midnight, where I'm just like, hey, imagine if you go to a party and you make a movie about a bunch of people at a party and they just can't leave, and Louis Buñuel is like, why can't they leave?
Wow.
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 But anyways, so the 1999, there's a reason for this, and the reason why I'm going to do a quick thing is the recent.
Ben Wilson traveling through time, righting those wrongs of movie crimes.
I love it. Yes, I need that.
I'd like to see the next episode, please.
Get that drop.
Nice. No, so the recent iteration of The Haunting of Hill House, which is directed by Mike Flanagan, it was fantastic. However, Shirley Jackson, who wrote the original book, it doesn't really base itself on the book so much as it does all of her work, like almost all of her stuff. Whereas the original Haunting was a film. The book came out in 59 and the movie came out in 63, directed by Robert Wise. I mean, one of the greatest film directors, arguably, of all time. I mean,
Who?
He was
West
he
Side
was
Story, Star
coming
Trek,
off of-
the movie.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, Star Trek the movie. Oh, you're gonna bring that one
I'm
into
sorry,
it?
the motion picture. Apologies.
motion
It is
picture?
the motion. It's Star Trek, the motion picture.
Not the Andromeda Strain.
No. I said West Side Story and Star Trek, his best movies ever.
and not all of the movies he made in the 50s.
I don't know. I don't care about
He only won like,
Arguably the greatest director of all.
Yeah, I'd say arguably one of the greatest directors of that era. I would say.
Okay.
Some said he was wise beyond his
Robert-
years.
He's only been his movies were only nominated for 5 Best Pictures, so it's fine. It's no big deal.
It's fine, no big deal.
David Nutter's The Haunting.
There you go, David Nutter. Anyways, no, sorry, you made me lose my train of thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Gotta be ready. Gotta be
Nutter
ready. for these
threw him
verbal
off.
Barbs,
Yeah.
baby.
It's fine. So
It's like having someone have
the
milk wet their nose.
the 99 version was directed by Jan de Bont and starred, among others, Liam Neeson, Lily Tomlin,
Catherine
Zeta-Jones.
Zeta-Jones.
Catherine.
She dips beneath the lasers.
She didn't dip beneath lasers.
Whoa.
Oh, Owen Wilson. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
we just connected a couple.
And
another
Liv,
one.
the one from Say Anything. What's her name? Liv. What's that actress's name?
I said
Lily
Tom-
Taylor.
Lily Taylor. That's what I said. Yeah,
Lily Tomlin.
not Lily Tomlin.
She's so good in 6 Feet Under. Such an underrated character.
Liev Schreiber, Lily Tomlin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a bad movie. It's really bad.
It's real
and
bad.
It's a bad adaptation. And so and I just have to differentiate what
Was that a
happened
William
here.
Castle thing? What is it, a connection to William Castle, or am I wrong?
I have no idea. But so here's what happened is that the original book came out. The Robert Wise read the book, gave it to a screenwriter who he was working on with a movie on. The screenwriter read it and was like, "Oh, this isn't about ghosts. This is about mental breakdowns. Like this is about there was no ghosts in this at all."
Yeah.
So he wrote the script, sent the script to Shirley Jackson, who wrote the book. She was like, "Oh no, this is about ghosts." And so he was like, "Okay, so maybe we put some ghosts in it." And then Robert Wise was like, "No, let's just land in the middle somewhere. We're never going to show a ghost. We're never going to show anything. We're going to make it so it's entirely inside people's heads." It shows you really, and I would tell anybody who hasn't seen it to go back and watch the 1963 Robert Wise The Haunting. They don't show anything. It's all sound design. It's all done with camera angles and like everything to make the scenarios feel very claustrophobic and very psychologically like kind of invasive. But it never overtly like tells you anything is actually happening. And so it can be construed as just a mental breakdown, like because the main character is very mentally unhinged. So of course the Jan de Bont version, there's like CGI fucking gargoyles flying everywhere.
A
and
giant lion thing eats Owen Wilson from the fireplace.
The whole, it's fucking ridiculous. It introduced one cool concept, which is that the main character was actually because the main character Eleanor is attracted to the house. She like doesn't know, she's terrified of it, but she doesn't know why she has to stay there. The one thing that the new movie did, which is kind of a cool thing, which I think the reason why the movie got made, is they introduced the concept of that, oh, she was actually the heir. Like she was supposed to be there, but she didn't know it.
Yeah.
And then she found that out. And then I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool thing. The Mike Flanagan recent adaptation is awesome, but it's completely different. It goes on a completely different path. And it does more stuff from her entire oeuvre than it does from that book by itself. So I'm just going to go back basically, and I'm going to pretend like the 1999 never happened, and that 63 happened. The 63 Wise haunting happened, and then we're finally like, okay, for a new generation, we're going to make a haunting that's in that same vein of like, this is a psychological horror movie where we're never going to see a ghost. Like there's not going to be any CGI demons or shit running around.
Who plays the ghost?
Right.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Jean Shorts.
So
no. I was gonna. Hey, who played the ghost in Casper in the live action Casper?
Oh, it's one of those famous
I have
child
no idea.
actors, like Jonathan Brandis or
idea.
something.
So, anyways, with the if I said who right now, so I'm saying this movie was made in 2018, and they finally decided to do a true reimagining of The Haunting, just with a few new tricks.
Devin Sawa.
Who do you think is the most popular horror director right now?
Jordan Peele.
Yeah, Jordan Peele.
Oh my God! I am submitting you to Reddit's people slowly dying
people
inside
died.
for that because you just sunk,
Unanimous
my friend.
Peele.
I think Jordan Peele does a lot more than just horror. Ari Aster has done nothing but horror.
Ari
Ask
Aster.
who is the hottest
Sure.
hard record right now? What you said?
Sure.
I think Ari Aster's up there.
Ari Aster's a great second or third choice.
I'm going in a
It's
completely
great
different
second or third
direction.
choice.
I'm doing Rob Eggers. I'm doing Robert Eggers, who directed The Witch and
Ah.
directed
Letter
The
and
Lighthouse.
Yeah.
So like the fifth or sixth, like best horror
Yes.
director.
No.
Way down the ladder. We got you. Keep going.
I went way down the ladder because the reason why I like him is because his aesthetic is all about mental breakdown. It's all about the deterioration of the mind. Like he's very into that both in The Witch and in The Lighthouse, and he has an aesthetic that obviously is just there to make people uncomfortable. I mean, like he'll stay on things
Like
for a really
speaking
long
in
time.
Old English.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll go through the cast really quick. Eleanor, main
The
character,
Vidic.
Anna Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
He just worked with her from The Witch, and is the mentally unhinged person. one of the characters is Theo, who is who basically can read. She's like some sort of. She has some sort of connection to the afterlife, and it's very unclear, kind of in the movie and in the book. But I have that character being played by Lupita Nyong'o.
From
Luke,
Jordan Peele's Us.
right? Of course. Well, there's the connection there.
Always
Luke,
cast her and always
Yes,
hit
of
that
course.
last name with trepidation. It's hilarious to me.
So Luke, who is the son, who's actually Luke Sanderson, who's supposed to inherit the property and has come on board. I have him being played by Chris Evans. Dr. John Markway, who's the one who's performing the experiments as they're coming to this house to see if there's actually paranormal activity. Gary Oldman. His wife Grace, who comes in and goes crazy and hangs herself, is being played by Viola Davis. Mrs. Sanderson, who is
Sanderson,
who is Chris Evans' mother, and is also been driven kind of crazy by kind of visions of this place and stayed away from it, is Catherine O'Hara. And Mrs. Dudley, who always says the great line, "I don't come after dark. No one comes after dark." And in the night and the dark, is being played by Sigourney Weaver. And so that's my haunting. I just think that was a movie that shouldn't have been remade in '99. It could be remade now. It could be almost as good as Robert Wise's, and it could have that same, like, we don't show ghosts.
Yeah,
we don't. This is about a mental breakdown, but
yeah,
or is it?
I mean,
Or
it's
is
kind
it?
of like if you take out that very last shot of the witch, that movie is entirely potentially just a mental
the
breakdown.
last sequence of the witch. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you see somebody turn into Satan. So
Yeah, I mean, that's
you see a goat turn into Satan. So Black Phillip.
Dude, if we-
Whoa, Black Phillip, man, whoa, Black Phillip, man, he turns into a goat, man, whoa, Black Phillip.
I've met a lot of goats. They're assholes. The goat turned into Satan. I see that all the time. That's an easy trick.
All right, what's your last one?
All right.
Not today, Black Phillip.
In 2009, Ruben Fleischer has a hit with Zombieland. Attempting to go a little bit more subversive, he follows it up with 30 Minutes or Less, which doesn't quite land. But the studios are still behind him, and they want to back him with a really big cast. They want to give him like a really A-list cast and see what he can do. And he's got a choice of blacklist scripts. One is Gangster Squad, but he doesn't take that script in this timeline. Instead, there's this script that's been sitting on the blacklist for a long time, written by some guy that worked in a video store and dropped out of Hollywood after his first draft for a movie called From Dusk Till Dawn was ignored and shat on, and he never made a single movie in his career. Of course, that young writer is Quentin Tarantino, and the script that has now been unmade for all of this time is Pulp Fiction. This is Ruben Fleischer's 2013 casting of Pulp Fiction.
I almost did Pulp
Hey
Fiction.
guys,
That's what you said before the
I
podcast.
did it last. I now remember. I thought that I had done this on our last recasting podcast. I
just realized how late it was. I gotta go. All right. See you guys.
Didn't I do Pulp Fiction last time? I didn't do Pulp Fiction last time.
I just
think
remember
so.
the Avengers, and I don't know what the other one. It's possible. I don't know. I didn't remember it though. As being
then I'll know.
Fleischer's
Then I'll know.
Pulp Fiction.
Ruben Fleischer's
Fleischer's.
Pulp Fiction.
All right.
I wanted someone that was going to try to add some visual style to it that didn't shy away from the violence and a little bit of the gore, and to do something that was a little bit outside of their wheelhouse. So I went with Ruben Fleischer. As Honey Bunny, we have originally played Amanda Plummer is Emily Blunt. And her pumpkin, originally played by Tim Roth, is going to go to a young James McAvoy. So we're going to watch them hold up a diner robbery. Now, Vincent Vega thought a lot about this, and I wanted to keep somewhat in the Tarantino how he cast movies, and I wanted someone that had a big career, and then their career faltered, and they went away, and they were waiting for a comeback. And I went with Brendan Fraser, who I thought coming back with he got the wig and playing a dark character and fucking leaning into it. I think he'd fucking kill it. And you know why he's gonna kill it? Because Vincent Vega is only as good as his Jules Winfield, who is played by Mahershala Ali, who is the only person I thought of that could really match Samuel L. Jackson's tour de force performance in that
that's
movie.
fine. I'm just I'm really disturbed by this whole premise.
All I can think of is the meme where it's like a text and a phone and a smartphone. It's a picture of Brendan Fraser, and he goes, "Hey Drew, it's Brendan Fraser from the movie George the Jungle. Just wanted to stop by and wish you a happy birthday." And he goes, "Thanks, but it's not my birthday." And Brendan Fraser goes, "I was also in the Mummy."
Right now, Ben Wilson is figuring out. But Ben Wilson's trying to figure out how to go back in time and stop this movie from being made and and go back to make the original one.
Ruben Fleischer's
Pulp Fiction.
I mean, can we agree that Ruben Fleischer's not a really great director?
I'm giving him a chance. I think
Gangster Studios want to see what he can do with an A-list cast, Ben. Come on.
Man, Nick loves Venom, man. He loves
I fucking love Zombieland. Ruben Fleischer's directed a shit ton of TV. I think he's not a bad director. I didn't shit on your choices of,
I'm just joking.
Taking Spike Lee to direct a Chris Columbus movie. So it's not the same as that. I went a little bit different, all right? So
instead you took a bad director and made him direct a good movie.
Exactly. I ruined what was good and I made it this. So Jules and Vincent go to the apartment.
Name my autobiography.
Jules and Vincent go to the apartment for the scene where there are the three roommates there. The Phil Lamar character Marvin's played by Donald Glover. Frank Wally's character Brett is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Roger, the guy just with the flock of seagulls haircut on the couch, is played by Channing Tatum. Now we get to our Butch Coolidge, originally played by Bruce Willis, is going to be played by future Venom star Tom Hardy. Because if you want someone that's a punch-drunk boxer and you want them to mumble like they've been boxing a lot, you go with Tom Hardy. His girlfriend will be played by a young Ana de Armas. If you've seen Knives Out and a bunch of other things, she's in that. Marcellus Wallace, another tricky character to cast, especially because Ving Rhames was surprisingly fucking young in that movie, and early 30s, in that movie.
About matching these ages.
I was I wanted to. So my Marcellus is a little bit older, but I went with Idris Elba.
That's
I wanted to have doing his best Stringer Bell. I thought that would be an intimidating guy. Eric Stoltz's drug dealer character Lance is of course played by James Franco.
Because played by Eric Stoltz.
Or Eric Stoltz. Actual
Why do
Eric
you guys
Stoltz.
feel the need to bend over backwards to get Franco's cast in these hypothetical movies?
I mean, who are you getting to play the guy in the robe that's selling drugs to all these people, and you don't cast James Franco? Are you kidding me? In 2013, he's the only drug dealer that existed then, Nick.
No. James Franco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Mia Wallace, played by Uma Thurman, who was only 24 when she shot that fucking movie, which also blows my mind that I thought she was in her 30s.
How old was Ana de Armas in 2013?
She was young, but so was the actress that played Maria de Medeiros was young as well. She was much younger than Butch. It was his young girlfriend. But Mia Wallace, I went with Emma Stone, who Fleischer worked with a lot. Fleischer, by the way, is casting people he worked with in all throughout this. Was one of the reasons I went with him. He worked with a big I'm
familiar with the formula.
I wanted to take his gangster squad cast and put them into this. It was more about that than it was about his direction. We have
Ryan Gosling's.
He's coming up. He's coming up. Actually, he didn't make it into it. I changed about the last minute. I apologize.
To be a suicide squad.
So there's Maynard and Zed are the two guys that wind up raping Marcellus Wallace when they kidnap Butch. Maynard is of course played by Danny McBride, and Zed is played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Who's Seth Rogen gonna be?
He's not in it. God damn it!
Oh fuck you!
Not my last three.
Ryan Gosling is the Gimp.
No,
this is David Gordon Green's Pulp Fiction.
It's true. It is. He is the Gimp. Our last three characters.
Hear him laugh through the leather.
Our last three characters: Captain Coons, who was originally played by Christopher Walken, is now Nicolas Cage. It's the only person I thought could deliver that monologue
I like
well.
That.
Jimmy, originated by the inimitable Quentin Tarantino, is now played by Jesse Eisenberg, and that was so dead on the money that my computer wouldn't even let me type it in. And lastly, the Wolf, originally played by Harvey Keitel, is played by the biggest name that Fleischer could get for Gangster Squad, and that is Mr. Sean Penn, playing the Wolf to clean up the mess made.
I like your casting a lot
by Fraser, and I think I know it's the weirdest one out of all. I think Brendan Fraser is my favorite casting in all of
that's
that.
a really
That
good one.
is like, because everyone said the same shit about Travolta when they cast him in Pulp Fiction. They're like the guy from Look Who's Talking and Look Who's Talking TOO. Like he was a joke at that point. It was like from biggest superstar ever to nothing. But yeah, that's
You
my
will
cast.
not get me on tape saying anything bad about Brendan Fraser if you're trying to bait me. It's not going to happen.
No, I wasn't. I felt there was
Not gonna happen.
a concern about my
As long
casting.
as there's breath in my body. How dare you?
I like Brendan.
I'm gonna do
Fraser,
I'm gonna make a mock up of him and Mahershala Ali in the famous pose, and just so we can see what it'll look like.
But I do think it was funny that you went the backwards way because, like I said, I actually also, and I was kind of baiting you there. I like Ruben Fleischer a decent bit. I think that he's like a talented guy, but I think it's
like playground rules. You're mean to them because you're like them.
It's pretty fair. No, it's pretty fair to say that Gangster Squad was a bad movie. I
didn't love it. I didn't
together well.
It was. I don't know what happened with it. It was not the sum of the parts didn't add up to the whole.
30 minutes or less. Besides,
that's a messed up movie.
Besides Michael Pena's amazing role in that movie,
yeah,
that movie sucks.
Yeah, we saw that movie together, you, me, and Beth, in the theater.
Yeah, I know.
It was not good. Ruben Fleischer, for some reason, always pops up every so often on my radar as like, I think there is a potential for something there. I don't know what it is, and I'm like, yeah, who? Because I'm like, do we go with Guy Ritchie, is too much like Tarantino to begin with, or like, who do you have direct your Pulp
Because the thing
Fiction?
was, is Zombieland, when the first Zombieland came out, it was such an original voice. Like it felt so different from anything I'd ever seen. And then everything after that he's made, it felt so derivative of other stuff. And I'm just like, and then when they made, like, I liked Zombieland 2. I thought Zombieland 2 was fun.
I didn't even see that one yet.
It's fun.
I'm not really a Ruben Fleischer fan, so.
Right, of course. That's it, like Zombieland 2 is totally fun because it is derivative of the first one. And I'm like, so did you have one original idea and then just kind of exploit that and like make a career out of it?
Okay, so Pulp Fiction was zombies. Hear me out. And no, still directed by Ruben Fleischer. And still Tom Hardy.
But I just think it's interesting because like like I said, I actually think that there's something there, same as you. Like I think he has something.
He'll find it,
talent
maybe,
there.
or he won't. He could be Richard Kelly and have one good thing in his his case, and that's it.
I mean, he was like 28 when they made Zombieland.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's still a pretty young guy.
We'll see. We shall
and
see.
He's made several Hollywood films, so that's pretty good.
No, he's done a really good job for himself.
That's pretty good.
But
Doing just
built
great.
it off of Zombieland.
Take away from his accomplishments here. We're a positive podcast.
Oh, that was supposed to be a clapping sound effect. That
It
was
still
not the
works.
right board.
Still works. To my point.
Well, on that note,
but I do think it was funny that his the performance of Ryan Gosling in Gangster Squad, I think, is what led to Ryan Gosling's acting range. So
that's it's all toothpick acting.
Ryan Gosling's acting range. Please check it out because it's
he had all the
pretty
bomb
good
frostings in that one.
It's good stuff.
I'd very much like to take you to bed tonight. You don't do your acting up here. You do it down here.
Which, like I said, what is so amazing about that whole sketch is that is verbatim what he said to Hoot driving in a van to the middle of the nowhere in Texas because they were in the same van. Because it's a fucking Lars von Trier, or not Lars von Trier, fucking
Terrence Malick.
Terrence Malick movie.
I was about to say, were they getting naked with Lars von Trier in the back of the van?
There's no budget on it, so they just put Hoot Gibson in his like pajamas and spurs in a van with like one of the most famous, like, who could have just been, I mean, he is a crazy person. I mean, he could have been like a crazy killer, but they put him in a van with them for an hour, like, round trip ride to go out to this ranch to shoot. And he's like, told me what to do with my hands and think about having toothpicks between my fingers. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is the best acting school I've ever heard of in my entire life. Told me not to worry about the words, do something with my hands, then the words will just come. Okay, and then I saw Drive, and I was like, "Yep."
That's exactly what it is. It's like nothing's going on up here. Everything's going on down
It's all
here.
down here.
I'm just moving
Pay
stuff.
no attention to this. Everything's gold is happening here. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to the New Wave podcast. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Last Pint Productions, where you can catch our Wrecked reruns, are on their own playlist. Plus, you can listen to the podcast on YouTube as well, with a little visual edition of the album art that most of you probably don't get to see normally. So we'll talk to you next time, and cheers.
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 Sloppy what? What'd you say?
Sláinte.
Oh, I thought you said sloppy something.
Irish.
All right.
I thought you said sloppy cheers.
Growing mustache for dick. Good night.
Oh man.